Little Red Riding Hood Story. Once upon a time, there was a little girl who was loved by all who knew her. She always wears a red cape with a hood, which was given to her by her grandmother, and so she got the nickname Red Riding Hood. One day, her mother said to her, "Little Red Riding Hood, take this basket of cookies to grandmother. She's not feeling well, and they will do her good. But promise me you won't stray from the path. Walk straight to grandmother's and be sure to say good morning when you get there." Little Red Riding Hood promised and happily said goodbye to her mother, and she set out with her basket. Grandmother lived at the further end of the woods, where big trees grow. There are beautiful flowers dancing in the woods along the path leading to grandmother's house. "Wow! There are lots of lovely flowers. I'm sure grandmother would love to have some." So, Red Riding Hood sang happily while picking the brightly colored flowers along the way. Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-yay, my oh my, what a wonderful day. There's plenty of sunshine heading our way. Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-yay. But she has no idea that her song has awakened the big bad wolf who was sleeping under a tree. "What was that noise? I can smell some delicious cookies." The big bad wolf hid behind a tree and overheard Little Red Riding Hood's plan to visit her grandmother. "It's Little Red Riding Hood," said the wolf. "I shall run to her grandmother's house and have them for my lunch, and the cookies would be nice for tea," schemed the wolf. Very soon, the big bad wolf was at the door of grandmother's house. He knocked on the door. "Who is it?" called grandmother. "It's me, Red Riding Hood," said the wolf in the sweetest voice he could manage. When grandmother opened the door and saw the big bad wolf, she ran into the house and called for help. "Help! Help!" The wolf chased after the poor old woman. Grandmother ran into the room and hid inside the cupboard. Then the wolf put on grandmother's gown. He put on grandmother's nightcap, and he climbed into grandmother's bed. When Red Riding Hood had picked all the flowers she could carry, she hurried on to grandmother's house. She was surprised to see the door standing open. So she walked over to the bed, and there lay her grandmother, but She had pulled her nightcap around her face, and she looked very odd. "How are you, Grandmother?" said Red Riding Hood. "Is that you, little Red Riding Hood? Come near me and let me have a good look at you," said the wolf. "Oh, Grandmother, what big ears you have," said Red Riding Hood as she inched closer to the bed. "All the better to hear you with, my dear," said the wolf. "Oh, Grandmother, what big eyes you have," said Red Riding Hood. "All the better to see you with, my dear," said the wolf. "Oh, Grandmother, what big teeth you have," said Red Riding Hood, her voice trembling slightly. "All the better to eat you with, my dear," roared the wolf. He leapt out of bed and chased Red Riding Hood around the house. Red Riding Hood ran as quickly as she could and called for help. "Help! Help!" She ran to the cupboard and hid herself in the cupboard. A woodcutter was passing by and heard Red Riding Hood's calls for help. He went into the house and saw the big bad wolf. The woodcutter chased the big bad wolf out of Grandmother's house, swinging his axe at the wolf. The big bad wolf was afraid of the woodcutter. He disappeared into the wood, never to be seen again. The woodcutter went to the cupboard. Out came Grandmother, and followed by Little Red Riding Hood. Nervous and happy, they all sat down to enjoy delicious cookies with tea. And they all lived happily ever after, except the wolf. He was last seen hiding from the woodcutter. The end. Story retold by Michelle Yuan Yap.